Hello and welcome to Property Mastermind Podcast, episode 113 with Hilary Saxton, solo episode this week, talking beliefs and how your beliefs will determine where you are in life. And they are the reason that you are where you are right now, because what you believe to be true is your truth. I know some of you are confused already, but jump on in. You're going to get a lot out of this episode. Let's go in. Hey, episode 113. And before we get started, giving away a copy of Property Millionaires Exposed this week going to Aaron Aura. Spoke to Aaron today, Aaron Aurora. So Aaron, this will be in the post to you. Congrats. Go straight to page 121. It's all about property developing and it's where you need to be. Alrighty, so fantastic property people. Welcome to another great episode of Property Mastermind Podcast. I would love for you to share this with somebody you think, they might like this. In the top, there's like 3 little buttons. If you click on those, you can just hit share and share it via text. And then more people can find out about property development or some great tips around how you can be more successful. So today I'm taking that deep dive into a topic that it's so close to my heart because I am so in the mindset belief space. I work in it every day, even with property developers, but with everybody. And it is the key to unlocking your full potential. It has an incredible power over you and your success in life and in the property world. So before I get started on how I want to roll through the podcast, I'm going to read you a piece from my book. Here it is here. My book, for those that are watching on YouTube, I wrote this. Not quite out. It'll be out on the 31st of August. But you can buy it from my website if you want a copy, and that's hilarysaxton.com. But it says, beliefs determine who we are. Simply put, if you believe you are, you are. If you believe you are not, because you experience life according to your beliefs. To evolve and understand your beliefs is to set out on the biggest inside journey you'll have. There you go. Understand your beliefs. Understand how they are your driver, how they are controlling your world right now. Everything you believe to be true to you is true. And here's a statement that I often find a little bit confusing, but it's so correct. And when it was explained to me, they painted the picture of there had been a car accident and you drive up to it and you see this picture of a female and a male standing outside of a car and you immediately see car accident and you have a reaction. Remember, so this is the statement, you see what you believe to be true. The other statement is you believe what you see to be true. Whoa, hear those two? You see what you believe to be true and you believe what you see to be true, meaning that sometimes we quickly paint a picture and it becomes a truth and it's not really a truth. And when going back to that example of the car accident, it was a car on the side of the road with the bonnet lifted up. No, they'd just run out of water in the radiator or there was some other story behind it, but you very quickly paint a picture of what you think has happened. So there you go. What do you believe? And really, that's an external look at things, which we are affected by in property development. But we're going to be looking at your beliefs because your beliefs are what go on the inside, aren't they? They're the things on the inside of your brain, the inside of your head. They're in there. They're controlling everything. They're like the computer program that's running everything for you because you will make decisions based on what you believe. And if your beliefs aren't quite right or they're a little bit off, well, you might not be making the right decisions. So let's start out with the basics. What are the beliefs? Have you ever thought of that? What are beliefs? Not are the beliefs. What are beliefs? They are the invisible drivers of our thoughts, actions, and decisions. So as property developers, we're no strangers to making critical choices that shape projects, investments, strategies. But have you ever considered how your beliefs are the secret sauce? They really are. They are the secret sauce behind those choices. Okay, imagine this. You're standing on the threshold of a development. You're actually standing on the site. Looks amazing. And you think, yes. Your mind's racing with possibilities. You think, oh, perfect duplex going there. That'll be amazing. It works well. Great market for it. You've done the numbers. It works. You're so excited. But then the next person comes along and has a different set of beliefs. They may have decided that because they've seen, I don't know, something on the news, or that read one comment somewhere, or somebody said something that tainted their belief. Their belief being that people aren't buying right now, or that interest rates haven't finished going up and it's not a good time to develop, or they don't quite have the skills to do it, or they don't have enough money to do it. So depending on your belief, what you believe about you, depends on how you see your future. So you need to believe that you have the ability to overcome any challenges that might come your way to achieve success, that doors will open for you, or you will notice doors that you may not have seen in the past. And there are so many success stories of property developers who had an unwavering belief in their future. I look at the community, I look at the people who, Bob is educated, and the things they're doing out there and the stories that I hear, and I think, wow, Bob, you educated these people to go from knowing nothing to understanding how to do developments, to doing one or two, to having investors on board, to doing multiple, to becoming full-time property developers. Their goal at the start, and then as they went along, their belief in themselves grew, and they were able to achieve that thing that they want. So it's not just about dreaming big. It is about believing big. Oh, there's a piece of gold. You have to believe big. Remember, I talk about CBA. Being clear about what you want is C. B, believing you can achieve it. That means the stories that are running in the background have to support that. And A, taking the actions toward it. Now, if those three aren't happening, you will not be achieving the success that you're after. So when you trust that your ideas can materialize, you become unstoppable. And you've got to remember that your beliefs shape your reality. So where do they come from? Where are these pesky beliefs coming from, if you've got a few pesky ones, that are holding you up? So let's think about where they started. Often, family and upbringing. They have a massive impact on what we believe about ourselves, our family, the roles that we played within our family, how we were brought up. It's kind of like monkey see, monkey do. It's very often, and I do find with immigrants, often they've worked so hard that they're used to doing that, and they'll put the time and effort in, especially if they're wanting to add property development to an already busy life. They will do that. So is that you? Have you got that? Or do you come from that lack mindset where you grew up and there wasn't much, and you're finding it really difficult to break out of that mold because there is a belief of scarcity, that there is never enough, that you don't know how to make or generate or change to a future that you really want to have. It's a very common one. I had a great coaching session with a guy this morning, and with a non-Australian background, and just the words that he used about his culture to me were amazing. I love the fact that there's power in the cultures, or he recognised the power in his culture. So all he had to do was believe that was true, that his culture was courageous and they're gutsy and they'll go for it. And he gave me some great words. So if he believes that about his culture, he believes that about himself. So what do you think that his mindset's like? How do you think his beliefs are if he believes those words? I was just excited, got goosebumps to hear that. So have a think about what you believe about you. Do you believe this is possible for you? Because if you don't, you really need to reframe it. You need to flip that switch. You have to believe it's possible. And when you think we've got grandmothers property developing, we've got young guys property developing, we've got older guys property developing, we've got women doing it together, we've got men doing it together, we've got families doing this together. There is such a mix of age and there is such a mix of culture. So why not you? And it comes down to what belief are you telling yourself if you're not taking the action to achieve what it is if you're not taking the action to achieve what you want in property development. Another thing that will cause beliefs are culture and society. So I just talked about culture. I started with family, but culture and society. Large cultural aspects will heavily, the context of your culture will heavily impact the way that you see yourself or the way you believe things to be true. If you believe that your culture is always downtrodden, or it's always harder for you, or you don't get a fair go, once you start believing that, you notice that, you see that, that comes to you. So it might be the case in some cases, but careful not to blanket it. Careful not to make that, you don't have to wear that. You don't have to wear that. You can be in your head, oh, I am the change. I am the change to that. And another thing that can impact our beliefs and where they come from is just a lack of education. Just not being exposed to what you need to know, having no understanding of what's possible. And I suppose what I watch often was with Bob is that he sees something that other people don't see because of his depth of knowledge. I mean, you can't do property development for over 40 years and just not know so much when it's your everyday world. And it's not the same thing over and over. There are lots of similarities happening all the time, but they're always different and relating to different projects and relating to different things. So it changes perspectives. And the more knowledge and examples you can recall on or can call on in your brain, the more that your brain will see just different opportunities, different ways of looking at things, and understanding of going into something thinking, yes, I can make this work. Of course, we're not silly. We don't make something work that doesn't. But seeing an opportunity, a property development, as it's more than likely going to work before going into it thinking this is not going to work. Obviously not going ahead if you've done your numbers right. We definitely want to do that first. But also understand that the teachers, the people that are teaching you, your mentors, will definitely influence your beliefs, because they will present information that's encouraging to you, or information that's tainted to you, or however the information's coming to you. Perhaps we're the only people you listen to. I don't know. So last week, Bob did that talk about where he sees the current climate, and he and I have spoken about that this week. I spoke about it on Monday night with our mentoring students, just what's happened in the market and where we see it moving from now. Definitely see that change moving forward, and a positive change. We've been in that lull. We've had the price hikes with construction, that's all calming down now. Interest rates have stopped, so we do have to start having that development growth. So now we're stepping into that phase now of property development. So another thing that will influence your current beliefs are your personal experiences. What's already gone on for you? Have you had great experiences? Because great experiences will generate more great experiences, and negative experiences will leave you feeling negative and perhaps with that negative belief in the background. And these can be around property development or not around property development. Sometimes something can happen in your life, an experience that shakes your confidence and leaves you believing something that you blanket over all areas of your life. I remember working with a guy a few years ago, and he had done probably 3 or 4 decent-sized developments before he met me, and then he did a couple that didn't go so well, and that knocked his confidence. He gave me a call and said, Hilary, I think I need to work with you. I'm just struggling to get started. So he'd given himself a story, a belief that wasn't true, which was that he didn't know how to do property development anymore, or it was along those lines, or he was doing something wrong and it didn't work for him. So it actually took us a couple of months to work through that, to get him taking those steps. But if you're feeling stuck because of something like that, I mean, he'd had enough education. He hadn't gone through our mentoring program, so we're definitely going to park that one there. But he had done enough courses, but he just missed a couple of things and got a bit stuck. Another one is when it comes to personal experiences, sometimes we get locked in there. And I also spoke with a guy a while ago, was working with him, and he was trapped inside a thought process that was not true. And it's unfortunate. Sometimes this happens. People get stuck there. They want me to fix it. I can't fix that. That's something they need to fix. So we have to get to the root of that problem and get people to understand that that it's happening in their mind. I don't like saying it's happening in your head because it to me sounds like you're dismissing somebody, but it's in their mind, and it wasn't true. And it wasn't necessarily about property development. It was about property. It was about an investment he'd made, and it was an investment that went wrong. And unfortunately, it just got him trapped in a very negative place. So if you find yourself being negative or sarcastic, maybe look at the belief that's driving that, because maybe that needs to be changed. Because that negativity, it's like a rotten piece of fruit in a fruit bowl. It starts tainting the other pieces of fruit. So if the fruit in the fruit bowl are your thoughts, and you've got one in there that's negative, that rotten piece of fruit will start impacting all the other areas of your life, the other thoughts that you're having in other areas of your life. So be very careful about that negative stuff that you attach yourself to, I suppose, is a great way to put that. Another place we can get our beliefs from, our stories that aren't great and don't support us and can support us in some ways, but in more ways than often not, is from the media. And they have a massive impact on the way people behave. And we've got to remember that most of them are driven by a political party anyway, so there's usually an agenda that they're pushing. But anyway, I mean, personally, Bob and I don't watch the news. It's not something we get into because it's just ridiculous. Often you'll see a story where one person is homeless, and the impression is given that everybody is. And please don't get me wrong, somebody being homeless is terrible, and you hate that for anybody. But what the media tends to do is make out like everybody is homeless, and there's hundreds of thousands of people, and it's just, they pick one example and really lead the viewer or listener to believe that it's everywhere and it's very generalized, it's a very all or nothing situation. And that will influence the way we feel and the way we believe things to be happening, interest rates, all of that stuff. Often it's just dramatized by the media, and then we believe that stuff's normal. We also shape our beliefs through peer influence. So the opinions and beliefs of our friends and colleagues and our social circle can impact us. So we often align our beliefs with the people around us because it gives us that sense of belonging. So if you are wanting to do property development, then you need to be around people that believe in their ability to do property development, or just be around successful people who believe in their ability to achieve the things that they want to achieve. Sometimes religion and spirituality has an impact on our beliefs. Personal reflection and critical thinking, that can also impact our beliefs. So your ability to assess information and reflect on how your beliefs are taking a role and when you assess that information. That's almost like standing back. Do you ever do that? Stand back and take a look at your thoughts? I do that very often. Stop and think, why am I thinking that? Am I stuck there? What is that about for me? Why am I believing that? I often check in with my thoughts, and I wonder if you do too. And if you don't, give it a try. Just try. Why am I thinking that? Is that true? Is that true? Is a great question to ask yourself. And then how can I see it differently is another great way out of any situation. How can I? The minute you do that, your brain starts looking for ways and answers to see things differently, to do things differently, to take action. Asking yourself how at all times is a phenomenal way to move your life forward, and then doing what you come up with. So you've got to be careful about the opinions of others, don't you? Because some people are very opinionated and they believe that their opinion is everything. And if you are that opinionated person, just check with yourself that you do hear other people's opinions, because we're not always right. And so that's a really important factor to understanding how we believe things, or how we could be stuck in a belief that's needs working on or isn't true. There are also psychological factors, as in cognitive biases. Oh, we're getting messy now. Cognitive biases, they're all the biases that we can have which influence our way of thinking. So we can downplay something and that becomes our way of thinking about it. We can rely on like old examples and decide that that's just how it is from, it was like that last time, it's definitely going to be like that this time. We can use an anchoring bias where we make a decision that's really like it's misleading, make our decisions based on basically the news, something like that isn't necessarily true. So when it comes to cognitive bias, there are so many biases that make us see things in a particular way that are not necessarily true. And if we take them on as beliefs, then they'll have a massive impact on us. So external events, major world events, they change the way we see things and they give us different beliefs. So it's really important to recognise that our beliefs can be complex and multifaceted, but they're not always formed through rational or logical processes. Instead, beliefs they're a combination of conscious and unconscious influences, or conscious and subconscious influences that evolve over time. So let's talk about your limiting self-beliefs, and we've all got them. They're those pesky thoughts that whisper in your ear, you can't do this. Well, guess what? It's time to kick those to the curb, because you can. You need to recognise that there are things holding you back often, and more often than not, they're in your head. When I see people do a property development that have less of a head start than some people, they've come with less money, less knowledge, less everything, and they get into a property development, and then I see somebody who has more money, more knowledge, and has an easier road. When I see that person with the harder road going ahead further and faster, it shows me that it is about the way your beliefs are driving you, that sense that you can do this. My signature talk, so I do speaking, is why not you? And I believe that with hand on heart. Why not you? In anything you want. You just have to believe that it's possible for you. So it's that growth mindset, and property development requires a growth mindset because it's just such a dynamic field. You have to embrace the growth mindset and see challenges as opportunities. How often do you do that? I see everything as an opportunity. Honestly, a conversation I have with somebody, it's an opportunity for me to connect them with somebody else. Everything is an opportunity for learning, for growing, for improving. And even this podcast about beliefs, I hope I've opened your mind to the fact that what you're believing might not be true. And if you're not moving forward the way you would like to be, then perhaps it's time that you checked in on your beliefs. So I want you to take a moment to reflect on how you feel about property development right now. How do you feel about it? What's the first thing that comes into your mind? What is your belief around property development? Have you thought about it? If you're driving in a car, what is your thought about it? Do you think it's hard, it's difficult, it can't be done? Do you think, yes, I'm on my journey, yes, I'm on my path? What is the thought that pops into your head? And then, are those thoughts, which are, the beliefs are driving those, are they aligned with your goals? That's a really good question. Are they aligned with what you want to achieve? So are the beliefs that you are having aligned with what you are wanting to achieve? So are they moving you forward? That means, are your beliefs going to be moving you forward toward your goal, or are they holding you back? And then think of what negative beliefs could be holding you back, because that could be the reason you're not moving forward. The excuse of, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time. You're never going to have enough money. You are never going to have enough time. That is just how life is. There's never enough money. There is never enough time, if that's a belief that you have. I think my belief is that there's never enough time, but I do it anyway. I just cram it in and get it done. But it's about the desire. It's about the goal, what you want to achieve, and then your level of desire, what you're prepared to do to get it. And part of that what you're prepared to do to get it, part of that, what you're willing to do, has to come from, well, if you're not doing it, will be coming from what you believe. There's just an underlying belief that's not supporting it. If you've been on the fence for ages, check in with your beliefs. When I said, what does property development success mean to you? Or, right now, can you do property development? What comes into your head? Have a think about that. So, closing thoughts. As I wrap up this episode, remember that the power of your beliefs is a force to be reckoned with. Do trust me there. Your confidence, your determination, your actions all stem from the foundation that you believe It is possible for you. And like I said, why not you? There have been many before you and there will be many after you. So my potential property development friends, I encourage you to nurture your beliefs. Take a look at them. Amplify your potential. We are all born with so much unlimited potential. Just dig in there and bring it out. Find that potential that is sitting inside you. The people that have been sitting around waiting, those of you that have got developments underway and wish you had another, have another. Why not? Get that pipeline going. I talk to you so often, and even that person that I text today, you know who you are. Yes, start that next one. I know you can do it. You know you can do it. Go and do it. There is a limiting belief there. So thank you for joining me today. I really look forward to, maybe send me an email if you liked the content for this. Stay tuned for more episodes. Remember, if you want a copy of 3-1s, I'm doing an online book launch next Thursday if you want to come along to that. It's online at 7 o'clock. I forgot even that. I've just started putting that on Facebook, or somebody has. So if you want to join me in the official launch of my book, I invite you to. Yes, next Thursday. Send me an email and I can send you a link to register for that. It's free, of course. And I'm going to be doing a free coaching session on there. And we'll be unpacking, I'm going with personality profiles because people love that. So I've got a simple test you can do, and then we'll unpack how your personality impacts what you are doing in life, your communication, your success level, your everything, and how to read other people. So if you're keen to come to that, and there'll be a few other giveaways, which will be fun. And of course, I'll read a couple of bits, not too much from this, because it's a fab book. I would love to see you there. I hope you've enjoyed today's podcast, a little bit different to usual, talking about beliefs, and we will be back next week, Bob and myself. Until then, I will catch you next time. See ya.